Communications can be of different types. It can be verbal, non-verbal, listening, written, or visual. But have we ever thought how the stories have become the fundamental communication method? So let's look into that. Now let's look into the power of storytelling. Over 2700 years since the first cave paintings were discovered, telling stories has been one of the most fundamental communication methods. During those days, the cave paintings were in such a way that all the paintings, by looking at the paintings, we would have understood what exactly happened or what is the history of that particular carving. So, in that way, it became a very good fundamental communication method for us to understand what actually happened. And coming to our brain or stories, how our brains become more active when we tell stories. When we are being told a story, things change dramatically. Not only the language processing parts in our brain activated, it means the language gets processed in our brain and then we will be able to understand what has been spoken. But any other area in our brain that we would use when experiencing the events of the story or two. It means not only the language processing happens in our brain, but the events which have been taken place in the story are also being experienced by us. How does this happen? So, a story can put your whole brain to work. So, what are the works done by our brain when listening to the story? Evolution has wired our brains for storytelling. So, how to make use of it? We know that we can activate our brains better if we listen to stories. Why is that? Why does the format of a story have such a profound impact on our learning? Simplest answer is we are wired that way. A story, if broken down into simplest form, is a connection of cause and effect. When we listen to the story, when somebody is narrating the story, our brain is actually connected with the narrator. So we naturally, what we do is we start relating what has happened in the story. It may resonate in our life the same situations what has been narrated in the story. The same thing we relate in our lives, and sometimes we connect emotionally, right? So we connect emotionally in such a way that when there is a scene of losing somebody, we start crying. When there is a comedy show or humor, we start laughing. And when there is some scene of leadership, we start feeling ourselves as leaders, right? That's how we have been connected. And that is exactly how we think. We think in narratives all day long, no matter if it is about buying groceries, whether we think about work of our spouses at home, we make up short stories in our heads for every action and conversation. Suppose we have gone to a grocery shop and something went there and something has taken place, some situation. So we come home and we start discussing with our spouse or our children and start saying this is what has happened in the grocery shop, right? So we start creating a story such that we are able to create a beautiful story, and same thing is being narrated to our family members. So we make up short stories. In fact, Jeremy, the journalist, he has found that personal stories and gossips make up 65% of our conversations. Yes, it's true. Now, whenever we hear a story, we want to relate it to one of our existing experiences. That's what we discussed previously. I said We start relating whatever has happened in our day to day life. We start relating ourselves. We start thinking what has been happened in the past. Sometimes we also relate it to the future. Maybe I will become like this. I want to become like this. That's how our brain is totally wired for storytelling. Let us all learn to listen to stories every day. By listening to story, our brains are being activated. Same way, if you want to learn some moral or if you want to be transformed in your life, learn or listen to the stories every day so that your life will get transformed. That's all about storytelling and how powerful the storytelling is. Let's also use storytelling for a better communication. I can say storytelling will be the best method for improving your communication skills and to build your confidence.